there's so much stuff to look and see today, isn't there? Wow. Welcome. My name's Annette, and on behalf of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fayetteville, I welcome you to this very special Sunday morning service in celebration of the Hallowed Eve. Today's service was put together by Web of Life, our pagan and nature spirituality group. The group was named for the seventh principle of Unitarian Universalism, respect for the independent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Web of Life and today's service affirm the sixth source of UU's living tradition, spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. All are welcome, and a special welcome to those visiting us for the first time. I hope you were given all the information you needed to feel comfortable here today, and if you didn't fill out the clipboard information in the lobby and want to get our emails, there are white cards in the back of the chairs, hold up card it says, that you may fill it out so that we can send you our weekly newsletter. Just put them in the offertory basket later in the service or return them to the welcome table at your convenience. Our AV person, David, can help you with hearing devices if needed. Children and the sounds they make are very welcome in our services. Right on cue. But if you need to step out with them and take a break, there are seats in the lobby, and we have a nursery care downstairs available as well. Please join us after the service for the potluck. Even if you didn't bring anything, I think there'll be plenty. We're about to enter sacred time. We are about to make this time and this place sacred by our presence and intention. Please silence your phones or other devices. We're glad that you've decided to spend your morning in celebration of the season with us.
Halloween has a long and rich history. It has its origins in the Irish pagan festival of Samhain and the Christian holy day, All Hallows Eve, a unique holiday abundant in folklore and fable, as well as in magic and the mystical. It has survived the ages to become the multifaceted holiday we celebrate today. Many scholars contend that more than 2,000 years ago, the Celtic people who inhabited France and the British Isles observed a calendar that began and ended with their New Year's Eve festival, commencing at sunset on October 31st. This festival was called Samhain in Celtic Ireland, meaning summer's end, and it marked the death of the old year and the birth of the next. It was also regarded as a Day of the Dead, a night devoted to the practices of magic and divination, and a time when fairy folk and gods were especially active. It was believed that an invisible veil existed that separated the worlds of the living and the dead. At sundown on the last day of the year, this veil grew to its thinnest point, allowing the living and dead to make contact with each other. Homesick spirits were free to roam the mortal world and return to their old earthly homes to seek the warmth of the hearth fire and the company of their living kin. families prepared offerings of fruits and vegetables and hilltop bonfires, which illuminated the night sky with an eerie orange glow and served as a guiding light for the souls of the dead. These fires were kept burning throughout the night to frighten away any evil spirits that intended to harm the living. Halloween did not find a place on the American calendar until after the great Irish immigration to the United States, which followed the potato famine of the 1840s. With the arrival of the Irish to the New World came the traditions of carving the jack-o'-lantern, performing love divinations, and guising, which eventually became trick-or-treating. They also brought with them some of their old Halloween folklore, which made its way to the Ozarks. We'll be hearing some spooky tales later in the service to honor our storytelling tradition during this time of year. In addition to telling ghostly stories, we will honor and remember our beloved dead during this morning's service. This sacred time of remembrance allows us to spiritually reconnect with those who have departed from this world. Honoring the dead and our ancestor spirits allows us to recognize their work and the contributions they made while alive. It allows us to cultivate our kinship values and discover more about ourselves and our ancestral past. We can call upon our beloved dead to ask for guidance and wisdom in times of need because they remain a key part of our sacred kindred community. Let us come together to explore the magic of this transitional time of year with an open heart and mind. Let us invite the possibilities when everyday boundaries may not be what they seem. So may it be.
As we begin our ritual, we light a sacred flame. Please join me with these words. O light of life, be kindled again in our hearts as we meet in sacred community to celebrate the turn of the seasons, seeking a wholeness that extends beyond ourselves.
Here at the center, we make our gathering and call to the cavern of the winds to fortify and strengthen us. Please rise as you are able and join with the words that are in your order of service and on the screen. While we sing, we will welcome the four winds with the vibrations of our voices. We will also face each direction in turn. We're going to start with the east.
which we stand, the starter block of our kind, the slate on which we write, the pattern behind our lives. You who lived in the times before us, who laid down the way on which we travel, who established traditions that guide our people, whose blood flows red within us, whose blood engendered us, we welcome you now into this space. The greatest gift, life itself, is your gift to us. We live as your legacy and cherish your gift always.
Okay, I'm excited about this next part. So storytelling is universal and as ancient as humankind. Before there was writing, there was storytelling. It occurs in every culture and from every age. It exists and existed to entertain, to inform, and to share cultural traditions and values. Before stories were written down, they were passed down by word of mouth. The stories we're about to hear today would have been shared in the Ozarks through oral storytelling. This means the stories are fluid and pick up new details or lose some details as they are shared, remembered, and shared again. And this is why we end up with many versions of folk tales that are constantly evolving with the storytellers themselves. Many of the old tales were not historically accurate or even true, but there is always wisdom in every tale. Truth was less important than providing cultural cohesion, entertainment, and life lessons. As my Granny Wilma used to say, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. With that said, our first story is about the elusive booger dog, like Boogeyman, of the Ozark Hills. This tale was collected by Vance Randolph in 1935. Would y'all like to know what happened to one feller who came across the elusive booger dog around this time of year?
Tell the tale! Tell the tale!
If you insist. One time, there was a fella that believed in all kinds of signs and omens, so he couldn't get no rest at all. Whenever he seen something out of the ordinary, he figured the devil must be at the bottom of it. Or maybe witches. You take a fellow that believes them things, and he is always worried about something or other. He spends half his time cooking up charms and quoting verses out of the Bible and burying stuff at the crossroads and making marks on the front door and all such as that. Well, this fella got to worrying about a big black dog that come around the house every day. Nobody in the neighborhood had a dog like that, and he thought there was something spooky about it. Finally, he fixed up a big dose of strychnine and put it in a piece of meat. The black dog gobbled up the bait, and then it had fits. When he seen the black dog laying there, the fellow was sorry he done it, because maybe it was just a normal dog, after all. But when he went out to milk the next morning, there was the big black dog a-frisking around just as lively as ever. What really happened was that he put too much strychnine in the meat. Everybody knows that if you feed a wolf too much poison, it makes him sick right away, so he will throw it up and get well. The neighbors tried to tell the feller about this, but he didn't take no stock in it. From that time on, he figured the varmint was a booger dog that couldn't be killed with poison nohow. Next time the black dog come up close to the house, the fella gave it both barrels of his shotgun. And while the dog lay there kicking, he run out with the chopping axe and cut its head right off. Maybe that'll settle your hash, says he. And then the fella went to bed with the door barred and the latch string pulled in. But along the way in the night, he heard something outside. The moon was shining bright, and there was the booger dog, a-running around as lively as ever, carrying its head in its mouth. Yeah, try to figure that one out. When the neighbors heard that one, they all just laughed like fools, and the fellow got so mad he wouldn't talk about it no more. That same week, he seen the booger dog with its head back on, the same as ever. So the fella got him a silver spoon and hammered out a big slug. He loaded up his gun with the silver bullet instead of shot. When he pulled the trigger that time, the black dog fell over just like it had done before. Then the fellow carried brush and poles and built a great big fire out by the gate. When the fire got to going good, he dragged the dead dog out there and throwed it in the fire. He just kept a piling on wood till the carcass was burnt plumb to ashes. Then he went to bed, so scared he couldn't get much sleep. But after 2 days went past with no sign of the booger dog, the fellow got to feeling pretty good again. About a week later, some of the neighbor boys came over, and they wanted to know how he was getting along with the booger dog. The fellow told them what happened, and they went and stirred around in the ashes a long time. When you burn up a common carcass, there's always a few black bones left and some teeth. So when the boys couldn't find nothing, only wood ashes, they began to feel kind of spooky. They all knowed and reasoned that a natural dog couldn't carry its head in its mouth, like the fella said, but if the varmint was a genuine booger dog, it is something else again. There is lots going on in this world that people don't know about, like them miracles in the Bible. So the boys figured the booger dog story might be true after all. It ain't no use to argue about things like that anyhow. And that's the end of that tale.
This next tale is called A Pretty Girl in the Road and was collected by Vance Randolph in 1941. Some experiences just can't be explained. Do y'all want to hear the story about the man who met a pretty girl in the road one dark and rainy night?
Tell the tale! Tell the tale!
Well, one time there was a fella riding along, and it was getting dark and coming on to rain besides. He seen a girl standing beside the road where an old house had burned down, but the chimney was still there. She was a tall, slim girl with a poke bonnet on, but he seen her face plain. He stopped and says, "If you're going somewheres, I'll give you a ride because my horse carries double." She says her name is Stapleton and her folks live down the road a piece. So then she jumped up behind him, light as a feather. Pretty soon, he spurred the horse a little, and so she had to put her arms around his waist. They rode on about a mile, and he found out her first name was Lucy, and she wasn't married neither. He could feel her breath on his neck while they was a-talking, and he liked it fine. He got to thinking this was the kind of girl he'd like to marry up with because he liked her better than any girl he'd ever seen before. So they rode another mile, and it was pretty dark by this time, and they come to a graveyard. And there was a big house with lights in the windows just a little way off. She says, "That's where my folks live, but I'd better get down here." He figured she was going to take a shortcut home so her pa wouldn't know she'd been riding with a stranger. Folks was awful particular about what their daughters done in them days. The girl jumped off and walked over to the gate. He says, "I'll be seeing you pretty soon." But Lucy just waved him goodbye and went on to the graveyard. The fellow waited a while so she'd have time to get home, then rode up the front of the big house. Soon as the dogs began to bark, an old man come out, and he says, "My name's Stapleton." He says the fellow's welcome to have supper with them and stay all night, as they've got plenty of room. Then he hollered a boy out of the barn to take care of the traveler's horse. They had a mighty good supper, and there wasn't nobody at the table, only Judge Stapleton and his wife. The fella kept looking for Lucy to show up any minute, but she never come. So after a while, he went to bed in the spare room. Oh, it was a fine shuck mattress, too, but he didn't sleep very good. Next morning after breakfast, they got to talking, and the judge Says him and his wife just moved here a year ago. We used to live 2 miles down the road, he says, but our house was lightning struck and burnt plumb down. There ain't nothing left now but an old chimney. The fella says, yes, he seen that chimney when he rode by there last night. I didn't mind losing the house, says the judge, only our daughter was sick in bed, and we carried her out to the gate, but the shock was too much for her, and she died that same night. The fella just sat there, and the judge went on talking about what a fine girl his daughter was and how him and the old woman was pretty lonesome nowadays. We buried her in that little graveyard, says the judge. You can see her stone from the front gallery. There ain't a day goes by, rain or shine, that my wife don't walk over there and sit by the grave a while. Everything was mighty still for a minute, and then the traveler says, what was your daughter's name? It sounded kind of funny the way he said it, but he was obliged to know. Her name was Lucy, said the judge.
We might have been saving the best for last with our final spooky tale. This story is retold by Richard and Judy Dockery Young, who say the story is also known as Bloody Bones and Rawhide. Their version of the tale is a compilation of versions collected between 1975 and 1990. Do y'all want to know how old Rawhide came to the Ozark Hills? Okay. Old Rawhead. Deep in the wooded hills and hollows of the Ozark Mountains, there lived an old conjuring woman who knew all the herbs and cures and roots and magic spells. She had one friend, a lean, mean, wild razorback hog, came by her cabin to eat her kitchen garbage. Some folks says he ate so many of her roots and magic potions that he could walk and talk like a man. Some folks say. Every October, the hill people slaughter hogs and put up the meat into a smokehouse for the long winter. When the winter blows cold and the frost comes and the leaves turn, it's hog scalding time. Men gather from miles around and drive hogs into rail-fenced pens. The animals are slaughtered, and the carcass is scalded enough to get the bristle hair off. Then the butchering begins. By sundown, the meat is all packed to go home, and the raw-skinned hog's heads and the bloody bones are all that's left out of the burlap sacks. One lazy hillbilly stole hogs from his neighbors at hog scalding time, and he must have rounded up that conjuring woman's pet too. After the butchering that day, he rode away with a bag of meat and a skinned head in his wagon, but the wagon wheel hit a bump, and out onto the dark road rolled the old Rawhead. Bloody Bones, said old Rawhead, get up and dance. The Bloody Bones, back at the butchering pens, jumped up and danced around and pulled together again and came and got the head. Old Rawhead ran into the woods and went to all the critters and borrowed things to wear. He borrowed the panther's fangs, he borrowed the bear's claws, he borrowed the raccoon's tail, and he went to the lazy hillbilly's house. The old man and the old woman were in bed when they heard a scrambling, clattering sound, and sparks jumped off the coals in the fireplace. The old man got up to see what was the matter. He looked and looked and looked, and couldn't find the intruder. Then he looked up the chimney. Land o' Goshen, said the old man. What have you got those big old eyes for? To see your grave, said the deep, hollow voice up the chimney. The old man ran away. A week later, he came back and looked up the chimney again. Land o' Goshen, he said. What have you got those great big claws for? To dig your grave, said the deep, dark voice. The old man ran away again. A few minutes later, he came back and looked up the chimney again. "Land of Goshen," he said, "what have you got that big bushy tail for?" "To sweep your grave," said the rumbling, rolling voice. The old man ran, hid under the bed, and said, "Land of Goshen, what have you got those long, sharp teeth for?" "To eat you up," said old Rawhead, and he came down the chimney and carried off the lazy old thief and stole his horse. No one ever saw the old man again, but they saw old Rawhead wearing the old man's shirt and overalls, riding that stolen horse, and carrying his raw skin head up high against the full moon. And every Halloween, if the moon is full, they see old Rawhead with his eyes glowing like hot coals, riding through the hills and hollows, deep in the Ozark Mountains. And if you go there, you could see him too.
Our thoughts turn to things past, to life retreating, to those who are no longer with us. Let us begin by honoring the ancestors. Ancestors, when you were born, the earth became your body. The stone became your bone. The sea became your blood. The sun became your eye. The moon became your mind. The wind became your breath. When you passed to the other world, your breath became the wind. Your mind became the moon. Your eye became the sun. Your blood became the sea. Your bone became the stone. And your body became the earth. When we were born, you did the same for us. You called forth the earth and rocks, the sea. Oh, I'm so sorry. Got a little theatric. My apologies. I'm so sorry. The sea arose, and the sun descended. The moon shone down, and the wind sang. For those who came after, we shall do as you did for us. When we are gone, we shall do as you did before. Ancestors, we honor you.
Ancestors, we honor you.
We light these candles of remembrance now, so that our own beloved dead may find their way to our hearts, that we may be open to the wisdom and messages of hope and love that they would offer us if only we would listen and heed. We light this candle to beckon our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, all the ancestors to whose love and care and sacrifices we owe our very existence. We light this candle for other family members who have gone before us, spouses, partners, children, siblings, aunts and uncles, cousins, nephews, and nieces, and give thanks for the richness and love they provided in our lives. We light this candle for friends and members of our community who have died this year, in thanksgiving for the lives they shared and contributions they made to the life of this community. We light this candle for our spiritual ancestors, for all those who have taught us the values by which we live, who give us confidence in our own spiritual worth and the worth of every creature. We light this candle for our ancestors of the land, for those who lived and died here in the distant past, and also spirits of the landscape itself. We light this candle for our beloved pets, for those constant companions, and for who have brought us comfort and unconditional love. And now, as the music plays, we invite you to come to the altar and place a photo of your beloved dead on it. You may also light a candle and place it in the sand in their honor if you desire. If you haven't brought a picture, you can write their name on the cards that are in your seat. They look, or in the seat behind you, or in front of you, they look like this. And you can write their names on there and bring it up if you wish. If you are unable to come to the altar, please hold up your photo or paper and someone will collect it and bring it up for you.
To honor our regional traditions of dining with the dead, who may seek warmth indoors during this time of year, we will now share food with our dearly departed. For those spirits who are gathered in this place and who live in our hearts, we offer you this spiritual nourishment. We're going to quietly pass around some soul cakes now. Let us be silent and envision our beloved dead together with us in this sacred space. May they receive the spiritual essence of the cakes offered to them at the altar. May we enjoy these sweets together and the sweet fillings they may bring. I would like to note that while these soul cakes are vegan, they are not gluten-free and contain cinnamon, spices, and raisins as well. We will remain in silence for 1 minute and 1 second to honor the spirits with us here today.
For all of those who have gone before, who dwell upon that farthest shore, with you we eat and pray this day, your gift of wisdom we shall repay. To you we call without fear, your voices are welcome here.
Old ones, we grace our shrine, whose grace our line, who shape our lives. We honor you with the right living. May your spirits be at peace and know our love always.
Please rise as you are able and join with the words that are in your order of service and on the screen as we sing farewell to the four winds, and we will face each direction in turn, starting with north.
Everywhere.
Please join me as I extinguish the flame. We
Extinguish this flame, but not the radiant light of life that burns within us, that we take forth into the seasons, into the world, and into our lives,
shining on as the world turns.
This fellowship is a community in which all are welcome. Its energy and resources feed the fire of our spiritual growth. Its wealth and hearth are what we share. As we contribute to the life of the community, we affirm the spark of life it brings to us. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this, our fellowship. We are a fellowship of action and activities. There are events and activities in the bulletin and on the screen. So take a look for special activities you might be interested in. So I'm taking a look. It says, here's some special events given to me to share today. So fill out your membership forms. Remember, there's a potluck and you don't have to have brought anything. Sherry has her yoga class. There's grounds work. If you notice that there was a leaf or two, actually they were all swept up on Thursday. Can you believe that more came back? Well, see, over in the corner I see Laura Brewer, my next door neighbor, laughing because she could use your help, and so could Kathy, the sweet lady sitting next to her. Oh, football game, parking. We collect money for people who park here during the football games. Another way we pass the plate, just so you know. Thank you for celebrating this turning of the seasons with us today. Web of Life celebrates 8 pagan holidays a year, known to modern pagans as the Wheel of the Year. These are the solstices, the equinoxes, and the quarter days in between. Our next turning of the wheel will be an evening service on December 21st, and we hope to see you there. Oh, I'm sorry. She told me something and I forgot it. Be sure and remember to pick up your pictures.
before you leave today. Thank you.